Here we are, back at it again. Look, we had to be late, Better late than never. That's what my granny used to always say. Well, that's not what she used to say. Can't even think of any sayings that my granny used to drop. But nevertheless, never less. But what is never the? I don't know. I don't know what two words I was combining with less and last, maybe. I don't know. But anyway.
Let me introduce you to Bo Miles, a unique and likable guy. Everyday life, friends and family makes up the artist's dream.
We have to continue, right? We have to keep going. All right, yeah, we're going to be late sometimes. But that's all right. Maybe I was going to combine late and less. I'm not sure, but you look, we back at it. We back in the saddle. We're not going to get too far away, and I'm going to start thinking ahead. This way, we can always be ready, just in case. Like, let's say if vacation, or maybe I get real busy, which I bring all of my stuff. Like this setup is pretty simple. I have my little Zoom recorder, and I have my mic. So if I'm going, like, let's say I'm working, because the music is starting to move. Like the music is it's definitely starting to gain momentum. So I'm definitely gaining momentum out in the real world. So we just have to be ready, right? So I'm a game plan. All right, the just in cases. So what I'm thinking, just, as I'm talking out loud, I feel like I probably will start recording ahead, maybe a day or two, and then that way I can have everything ready. So if something should pop up for the week or whatever, I can already have that done. So, but I'm definitely going to start gearing up and preparing for that. So that's good. But yeah, like I was saying, the music is starting to gain a little bit of momentum, and that's good, right? Like, that's good. I have an artist that I'm working with currently, and I'm trying to acquire more artists. So, I just want to work. I just want to keep working, and just get as many artists as I possibly can, right? Like 30 different artists across multiple genres. And I feel like, yo, that's the way to go. And I was listening to the Theo Von podcast, his last podcast, and he had like a cleanup guy. More so, I mean, it's large scale, but like a trash man, but a large scale trash man. He's his own boss. So he goes into different territories, I guess, jobs that no one wants. Like he'll clean up a dead body, a murder scene or a suicide scene. All right, he'll clean that up, clean up all the bodily fluid. Right? I don't want to get too graphic, just because. No, ain't nobody got time for that. All right, but sometimes we may get graphic. So this isn't. Look, Bo never gonna get graphic. Like, nah, that's just. But just right now, I'm just not trying to get graphic. So he'll clean that up. If there's a hurricane, or if there just all types of jobs, right? But he's his own boss, and I I think he said he was pulling in 7 figures. Right? 7, like, so he's a trash man in a sense, and he's making 7 figures, but the driving force behind him making the 7 figures is his philosophy of never saying no. Never saying no. And that resonated with me, because when I think about all of the endeavors, right? And when people start to lose momentum and they start to lose the territory or the gains that they've acquired, I see that as them saying no, just them stopping. You can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Rockefeller, I get down, baby. Right? So I'm here to say, look, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no to any gigs, any music gigs, far as producing and recording. Well, I don't have a studio, so I can't record the artists, but I can make the music, and I can go to the studio with them if that's something that they would want or need. Yeah, once you have an artist, I mean, they feel like, and they should. They feel like, look, I got this. I don't need any help. I don't need this. I don't need that. Which is not a problem, right? Like, I'm not trying to relive something. Like, I'm good with the life that I've lived. But if some want some type of help or assistance, like, I'm there to provide that, right? And I already know, like, yo, I'm creative, so I know that my ideas are going to be fire. But I'm not saying no. Any artist, I don't care what the genre is, if they come to me, if they find me and they ask me, look, I'm game, right? So that's even to you guys, like I'm game. I'm not saying no, because we know what limitation. When you put limitations and stipulations on yourself, you just hold yourself back. You can't hold yourself back. Like, you got to go out there full force. Now, I also think from like a prostitute's perspective, you have to say no, because we are all prostituting our abilities and our talents and our time. Like we all are doing that. We all are prostituting our abilities, our talent, and our time. Whether you're getting paid $8 or $9 an hour, $50, $30, $20, $15, $12, $100 an hour, we're prostituting our time. So with that in mind, if you're a hoe out on a track, you can't be out there. And I guess this is where we get graphic, right? I didn't want to get graphic with the deaf, but that's just a reverse on society, because violence is okay, but sex is bad, and that is taboo. But far as you have a mass shooter and he's streaming 2, 3, 50, 11 minutes of the massacre, that's okay. Well, you can watch that, but let him stream 2 or 3 minutes. He wouldn't even made it to 2 minutes of streaming a sex tape. And I really want you guys to really think about that. If we're making sex tapes and you just put that on Instagram, right? It's live, Instagram live, Facebook live. I don't believe that you're going to make it 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you're on Twitch and you're streaming some type of sexual activity, you're not going to make it that long. But if you're on there and you're killing, you can make it. And someone will save it, and you can find it somewhere. You can find it on the web somewhere. But sex acts, you're only going to be able to find it on like some type of porn site, right? So that, I feel like that's wrong, because we're saying that violence is okay. And I understand that violence is necessary. That is our nature. Our nature is violence. And I understand that, okay, if you start to if you just open the floodgates on sexual activity, then violence is going to seep into that. And that's really what we don't want happening. We don't want a channel or avenue for sexual violence because sexual violence is the ultimate crime against someone who is experiencing that. So I get that, and I understand that, and I'm an advocate for that, right? I don't want people being taken advantage of, and they're just brutally just gang raping and just sexually what is it when they humiliating, right? So I understand that, but at the same time, we really need to be diligent on violence as well, right? And then these are things that, like I said, are a part of us. So it's not like we can run away. You can't run away from it. It's right there all the time. But we need to put the same emphasis and show that, like, yo, man, this isn't okay either, because clearly, sexual activity is not okay. So we need to be just as diligent with violence, right? And let's see, where was I going with that? Okay, where was I going? I know we was talking about not saying no, but the prostitute and being graphic. So now we're going to get a little graphic. So that's just a disclaimer, because I know some of you, some of my listeners, look, you might not want to hear this type of talk, but but I have to be myself in this conversation, right? This is so you guys really get a chance to hear how I talk, because look, I guess there's always another way. There's always another way, but you have to get into a routine of being yourself, because, like I said, all right, if you're out there getting pimped on your time, then you're getting pimped on your thoughts, because you're not really allowed. If you don't have time, then you don't have time to think for yourself. If you don't have time you can just look. My daughter's having this recital. I'm going to the recital. You got to check in with the boss. The daughter's having a recital. Boss, can I go to the recital? Man, I got to go to the recital. Oh, man, I hear you, but I don't hear you because we have this deadline, right? So, man, we got this. This is more important than you and your daughter, right? So we have to take that into account, right? So I give you this disclaimer, so this way you could have backed out by the time you got to this point, right? But the whole idea of, all right, you can't say no, but remember, we have to go into this prostitute's world, right? Now, if you're out there and you sucking cock for $20, $10, like, yo, they're going to run you down. They're going to run you down and wear you out before you even get a chance to even reap the benefits. So there, you can't just, look, I'm just going to take any job, right? Because clearly this guy isn't just taking a whole bunch of 20. If he made $1 million, right? If he's making $1 million, he's not taking $20 gigs, $200 gigs. Like, he's not. He's taking these big jobs that nobody wants, but these are still big jobs. So when you talk about cleaning up some, one was a hoarder, and I remember when I was doing cable installation, I did some installation for this guy. I did an internet installation for this guy, and he was a hoarder. He had like, I don't know how many cats. Like, the number that's coming to mind is 50 cats, but he could have had over 100 cats in there. I mean, this was like a huge two-story type of home, and it was just full of just cats, cat piss, cat shit. Just the smell, like, you smelled it before you even went door. You smelled it when you walked up. As soon as you got up on the steps, I mean, you smelled it. And you just saw all of these cats. You could just see them all in the house. And as soon as you got up on the steps, you got that ammonia smell. And when he opened that door, I mean, that smell was so strong. It was strong. And it was dead cats in there, right? So you got the smell of old death. And that's like a different type of smell versus like fresh. Let's see, it's just a fresh death, maybe a week. But nah, this death is like, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks to a month of decay. So it's dry. It's not as wet and slimy as a fresh death. So you got just old dead cats in there. You got, you just stepping in piss. You just stepping in cat shit. I mean, it was crazy. So I remember that, right? So this guy, he would be the one who had to go in there and clean that. So you got to clean and strip the boards, the walls. I mean, like a thorough re-cleaning, or they're going to demolish it, right? However the gig is, but for him to be cleaning it, that means that they're going to salvage the structure, right? So we have to redefine our don't say no, because, like I said, if you're a prostitute, you can't be out there sucking dick for $20, $50. Like, you just can't. You can't, because we all have a certain amount of time. Time is finite for us on this plane, right? We can get into the deep philosophical things, but time is finite on this plane. So if you're out there, all right, you guzzling for $50. All right, so like, how many dicks a day do you have to suck? Right? We talking what? All right, you sucking 4 dicks a day. That's $200. And that sounds good, right? This is something we're going to actually come around. We're going to come back around to the reality of work. Out there looking for jobs, the 80-20 rule, right? We're going to get back. We're going to circle around to this 80-20. So every day you're not going to find people who are going to pay you $50, right? So you're a prostitute, and in my mind I keep saying whore, but I, like, that's wrong, right? And this isn't on some old white knight stuff. This is on just people. Like, yo, you are a person, okay? You are a person with feelings, and I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, because you are a person, and that's just not what I'm about, right? So I'm gonna use prostitute, and it's not even on some negativity. Like, yo, I have nothing but respect and admiration, because I can only imagine, right? Like, yo, that's tough. So you're out there, and you got to get 4. You got to get 4 cocks a day. That's going to be hard. Like that's going to be hard. Now, on my YouTube page, I did post a video. I did like a reaction. It was like the scene in Seattle, which was astonishing. And just how open, like, yo. I mean, but they have a like a district. They have a place where they all hang out at, and they're just out in the streets. So you got competition, and then you have so many other factors that go into it. So at $50, right? Not all your clients are gonna just want that, right? So some of them, look, they're gonna want to get in. Now, some of you guys, now I do apologize if any of you guys are suffering from like sex addiction or porn addiction. Like, my bad. So, because by me being graphic, this could be triggering you. So that I'm not trying to do that. Like, that's not the point. That's not the point of this analogy and this way of looking and thinking, so that we can gain better understanding on how we go about our day and our life and our business. So I'm not trying to trigger you. Maybe you was doing good. You was doing well, right? You didn't look at any, and you're trying to quit or whatever, right? So be strong, right? So with that being said, try if you can see where I'm going with this conversation, and you can gain some insight onto how to go about establishing yourself in business, right? Because we can talk about crack, we can talk about cocaine, because I feel like, all right, yeah, you're gonna have people who could be addicted to crack, who could be addicted to cocaine, and they haven't been doing well, or they've been on a straight and narrow, and they haven't been giving in to their addiction or whatever, right? So we have all of these different things that's going on, but just in this lane, we're just gonna speak on prostitution, but we could make this analogy for crack as well, which I may jump in and out, right? But if this is triggering you, just go ahead and stop it, because I really don't know how long I'm going to to go into this analogy, right? But I do care. Like, I care about people. I care about you, and I care about what you're going through. Any type of thing that you're going through. If you're trying to sober up, you're trying to become a better person than you were just yesterday. Like, yo, I'm for that, and I want you to succeed. So if this is triggering you in any type of way, just go ahead and cut it, so that way you can continue, because I want you to be all right. So with that being said, okay. So now we and I should look. I need to put the number out there all the time, so that this way, we can start to people can feel comfortable with calling in with any type of comments or questions that they may have. All right. So, and I remember my point, so don't worry, guys. Like, look, I'm on it. I'm not gonna forget my point. But I need to constantly maybe text myself. Here we go. Because I was about to say I had it close by. But, all right. So if you guys have any comments, any questions that you would like read, you can text this number, or you can call and leave a voice message. The number is 304-410-0363. That's our hotline. If you guys have any comments, any questions about this episode, about any episodes that you're listening to, text your comments or questions, or call and leave a voicemail. So you're out there and you're guzzling for $50, but not all of your clients are going to just want that, right? They're going to want other I can't say features, but other, not elements, but other services, right? They're going to want other services. Now, let's say, boom, they want the box, okay? Now the box, let's say you're doing 50 for the box, right? 50 for the box. Still, you need 4 people. That'll give you $200 a day. But $200 a day is not enough for just for everything, the danger that you're putting yourself in, the wear and tear, right? Remember, time is finite. The wear and tear that you're going through, the mental stress and health, all of this stuff is taking its toll. So you got to get 4 a day, and you're saying, all right, so, let's say you work, I don't know, Like idealistically, if you could work from 8, let's say from 8 to 10, 8 to 11. So 8 in the morning to 11 in the morning. Idealistically, if you could do that, then, you're going to be good, right? If you can work that from 8 in the morning to 11 in the morning and you make your $200, like if it was another job, that would be perfect. That would be if it was, even if you was working at McDonald's from 8 in the morning to 11 in the morning and they paid you $200 a day. Like that's going to be a really good job right there, because then people are like, all right, so what's that? 3 hours, but really let's just give them 2 hours, because if you're giving up the box, I would say 30 minutes. I mean, I'm not really sure how these guys, they're just in there for long, but look, you're selling 30 minutes for $50. Okay. So, you're selling, I'm sure that they charge even more, right? But the whole idea is, if you was just charging $50 per 30 minutes, then you're going to get burnt out. You're going to be in a position where you can't sustain it, right? And that's really what we're talking about. So when we get to this idea of never saying no, but we also have to bring up the idea and the concept of that number that's going to take care of everything, right? We just can't just look at all right, okay, my bills, all my total expenses, let's say $3,000, $4,000 a month. That's everything. Okay, $4,000 it will take care of everything, right? Takes care, right? Because I think I said take cares, but takes care of everything. $4,000 will do it. Then $4,000 is not the goal. The real goal would be, I would say, let's just go ahead and hit them with like $20,000. You want to be well ahead of. You want to be well ahead of what you need. Well ahead of what you need. It's just not about just making it and getting by. You want to be well ahead, so that now you can truly start to take back your time, start to take back your mind, start to take back who you are. So whatever that number is for you, I would say multiply it by 5. And so that's your real number, right? Because I was speaking with somebody, and they were talking about things that, look, these are some things that needs to be done, but can't do it right now. But look, I was up and I was in a position a little bit, but then something happened, and now I don't have as much as I normally, and so now I'm in like pinch and crunch time. My back is against the wall, and it's like, because you didn't have enough. Even when you thought you didn't have enough, right? You thought that you had enough, but you didn't have enough. So whatever number you think that's gonna be okay, I'm gonna be good, I'm gonna be all right. Well, then multiply that by 5, and so then this way, now look, you are definitely you're good to go, and you're in a good position, right? And that's what we want to add to not saying no. So I'm going to work with as many artists as I can, but I have to be mindful of my time and just getting burnt out. Because if I have 100 artists and I'm not making a dime, I'm not selling any type of music, I'm not doing anything, I'm just making music for 100 artists with no type of money coming back, then like, look, that's not feasible. That I can't do that, right? An adult can't do that because I still have to work. I still have a job. I still have health insurance that I have to maintain for me and my family. Right. So these are some of the things that we have to take into consideration. So we have to have our number, right? Which I think 20 grand for anyone is going to be a good starting place. Now, if you're a millionaire, I mean, that's not a lot. I was going to say it's not enough. So a lot and enough, I combine them together. And I'm consciously aware, and I always make note of when I do that so that I can kind of reduce that, right? It just let me know, hey, you need to slow down. You're moving too fast. Because I'm going to start interviewing artists again. So that's going to happen. So with my artist, I'm going to interview. We're going to get him on the podcast pretty soon. I would say within a month or two. We're waiting on a project, right? So in the meantime, any other artists, like I'm going to also look out for other people who have podcasts in the Charlotte area. So that the Charlotte area. So if you're in the Charlotte area, and I know how it is. I mean, if you're doing a podcast, you probably don't listen. You probably only listen to a handful, and that handful is probably going to be more famous and well-known podcasts. But you never know who's listening. But I'm going to actively look for other podcast shows that's being done in the Charlotte area and get to know them. So this way I can kind of network with them and start to build a relationship, right? Because that's what it's about. That's what it's about. We're in the 30-minute mark. I'm not really sure how long. I would say we probably hit them for an hour. We may hit them even less, right? We might even just hit them for another 15 minutes. But I want to build up that network, and the network is what is important. Let's go ahead and get a drink. Let's go ahead and use our cue. Okay, we should be back in the game. That was a nice little squiggy squig right there. Okay, and look, we might have went ahead and I don't know where we put the intro. I mean, it's hard to tell just because I've just been rambling, but we could have put the intro in right there. I'm not really sure where, but we'll get the intro song, right? That let me introduce you, right? We'll get that in there somewhere. So we're on the idea of networking people because there's only a certain amount of spots in human organization. So in business, in any type of business, there's only a certain amount of spots. We have to take that into consideration. There's only a certain amount of spots. So can people walk? Yes. Everyone who can walk, right? Or breathe, right? Can people breathe? Yes. People can breathe. Every person that I'm aware of, every human being on the earth breathes oxygen, right? They breathe it in and they breathe out carbon dioxide. So that everyone does that. Okay, there's nothing where there's only a certain number of people who can do that. But when it comes to like air testing the quality of air, when it comes to air purification or air cleaning or air filtering or anything where we add business to it, well, then there's going to be a finite number in that business. Even though everyone can breathe, not everyone can can fulfill the role of air purifier or air filter or air whatever you want to call it, right? Just air business, whatever that may be. So everyone cannot do that. Everyone cannot do business. Everyone cannot do a job. Like, that's not infinite. That is finite. So when we talk about influence, remember this is about business. Anytime we're talking about business, there is a number. So can everyone be famous, right? Famous is a business. Famous is about money. So no, everyone cannot be famous. Now, because you're famous, are you rich? No. But someone is profiting off of your fame. That's the only reason why you are famous, right? Because it is a business. So everyone cannot be famous. Everyone cannot be a NFL football player. Everyone cannot be a Major League Baseball player. There is a finite number. So once we get to any business, any job, everyone cannot be a lawyer. Everyone cannot be a doctor. Everyone cannot be an accountant, right? Because it's business, there's a finite number. Now, can everyone potentially be and do those things? Yes. So every person who wants to be or do something, you can be or do that, right? So what we're establishing is we have to look at our goals, at our business goals, at our work goals, at our dreams and aspirations, even if it's for our kids, because once you have kids, then you start to really think about, you want to set them up, right? So if we look at our dreams and our aspirations, think of it as a bathroom. I want you guys to think of, so whatever it is, you want to be in the NFL, it's like going to the bathroom, okay? A public bathroom, not your own private one. It's like you're at the airport and you want to go to the bathroom, right? Or you're at the movie theater. Movie theater is a better one because the movie theater, you're only going to have a certain amount of stalls, right? Nowhere near as many stalls as there are people. And just imagine whatever the biggest Marvel movie, what is it? The Avengers, or I think something beat the Avengers, maybe Spider-Man or something like that, right? So just imagine Spider-Man, the Avengers, whatever the number one girl movie is, and just imagine this day, the day of the number one day. So all of your number one greatest hits of all time, just boom, is being dropped on this one day. And they still do the numbers. And they still do the numbers that they did, right? So just imagine that, okay? So you have the theater is packed, and every movie screen or every movie room, or the actual theater room. I'm not really sure what they're called, right? But each movie room, each theater room is packed. Each of them, all sold out. The only time I've seen the movies sold out, I'm trying to think. I'm talking about like really sold out. It would be because, like, I don't go at night. I always go during the day, and I don't go at night. Now I remember back in the day when I was in college, one of those DMX It was like a DMX movie. It was a DMX movie, and we're talking about West Virginia, right? Charleston, West Virginia. There was a DMX movie. I don't know if it was Exit One. It was DMX. I don't know if it was DMX and Ali. I don't know who. I know DMX was in this movie, and this theater was packed. I mean, yo, this theater was packed. Now, look, y'all remember, I'm from Baltimore, so I remember we had huge movie releases in the theater. I'm talking about long lines, merchandise, people selling merchandise outside, right? So I remember that, but I'm talking about as an adult recently. What I'm fully packed is, I can't think of a midnight movie. I know the Spider-Man was. It wasn't real. I mean, I'm talking about sold. Look, we can't sell no more tickets. It would have to be the movie that comes to mind is Passion of the Christ. When I went to see that, that and the DMX movie, those two movies, you know, as an older adult going at night, like those stand out to me, and more than the Marvel, like more than a Marvel movie, because I saw one of them I had to see at night, right? But usually I try to see them during the day when it's not packed. I try to avoid the packed crowds, but yeah, like Passion of the Christ and one of those Marvel movies, one of those Avenger movies, I want to say, I mean, it was like, just, you can't even get in. So every room is like that. And you have to go to the bathroom. Because this concept, this idea, this is what we're facing when we talk about quote unquote being successful. You have only eight stalls. I think you have a couple urinals. Maybe they have usually it's two male bathrooms, two female bathrooms, right? You have about, let's say, 4 to 8 urinals, and then you're gonna have maybe 4 or 5. Let's just give them 5. So we have 10. You have 10, and or we can say like a stadium. But see, stadiums aren't usually as bad in the bathroom. Like, whereas movie theaters, if like, boom, all these great hits come out, if they all start and stop at the same time, like, yo, you're going to have a huge problem trying to use the bathroom. So you have to wait. And the whole idea is, if you wait long enough, your turn in time will come as long as you're moving towards the urinal, right? So if you're not moving towards the bathroom, and that's what happens so many times, that we get lost. Like we think we're in line for the bathroom, but we're really in line for the pretzels. We're really in line for popcorn. We're really in line to actually leave the theater. Man, I didn't even know I was leaving. Right? Until I got close to the exit, and then I had to, kind of scoot out and try to get back into the line to the bathroom. So as long as you are moving towards the bathroom, eventually you will get there. Now, as we talk about fame, when we bring fame and replace it, then we have to get as close to fame as we can. Now, how do we do that? How do we get close to fame? How do we get close to it, right? We have to identify where it is. We have to identify, okay, where is the bathroom? I don't know. But XYZ, they're using the bathroom. right? XYZ, I mean, they're always in the bathroom, right? Drake, he lives in the bathroom. Future, he lives in the bathroom. Whatever Aveen lives in the bathroom. Whatever Rodriguez lives in the bathroom. I don't know where the bathroom is, but I know that they're constantly, that I know them because they're in the bathroom. Whatever football player, right? So once you identify, you have to identify where it is. And then you have to hang out. You have to be around there. So if we talk about the NFL, if we talk about like professional sports, we know, okay, here are the entry points for professional sports. These are the entry points. That you have a line. Like, yo, we know where that line is. We know the line. Now, do we have the skills? Like me personally, I don't have the skills. So now I have to get the skills to get in line. Right? But we have to remember, look, man, there's only a certain amount of stalls and we still are fighting against the clock. So, all right, there are 100,000 running backs or wide receivers. You're in line, right? So you're in your line. Your line is in high school. And you're trying to just get to the checkpoint of college. You're trying to get to a checkpoint of college. And you're trying to get to a D1 school, right? Now, how many other football players in your region? Now, some schools get looked at more than others. So now you have to say, okay, do I go to some nobody school that no one has eyes on, and I try to establish myself and make a name for myself? Because if you're good enough, people will be talking and they'll be talking about you, right? This is the idea, this is the hope, that they'll be talking about you. And that someone at this greater checkpoint, because remember, that's really what we're saying, is that you want to get to these checkpoints. So on our hypothetical, I want to make it to the NFL. I want to make it to the NBA. All right, so it starts in high school. Far as your big checkpoint. And it actually starts before then with your pee-wee and midget leagues. So you have those little leagues, and this is where you're gaining your skill, because you're going to really need to be on autopilot and really be able to do a certain amount of things. So you get to middle school, you playing, right? And people kind of looking out for you, but they're not really worried about you because they're still looking at whoever's the current high schooler. But once you get to high school, then it's like, boom, certain high schools are going to be known and seen. Okay, so let's say there's always like the big four. There's always like 4 high schools in every city, and there's always 4. And there's always some private school. So you have to get into one of them, and then you have to shine in one of them. Let's say you don't shine, you just kind of make it through. You're being consistent. So you're at that checkpoint. You're consistent, but there's some superstar on the team, and everyone's looking at them. But you're consistent. You're consistent. So people are going to look at you as well, because they're looking at the whole team because of this anomaly. This person who's like, yo, this person is really good. This anomaly brings awareness and light to the school, and all of the positions are kind of being looked at and focused. And you're saying to yourself, like, yo, I want to get into the NFL, right? I want to get into the NBA. So this huge checkpoint now comes to colleges. Now you have to get into line. You want to get into a D1. You want to get into that same big 4, the big 4 of college. D1 big 4, whatever that may be. Whatever that may be in your sports field, right? And then from there, you want to, if it's baseball, if it's football or basketball, you're in that top 4. and you're consistent, boom. I mean, the chances of you playing pro and going pro are astronomically high. Like they are high. But remember, the positions, when we talked about it first, the positions in business has a number. It's a finite number that, look, it can only sustain this number. And that's why, you want to get to those big fours. You want to make it to those big fours because, remember, so we have 1,000. If you have 1,000, see, I'm not sure how many let's just stick with the NFL for right now. How many new NFL players come in a year? And I'm gonna ask my brother because he would know, right? He would know. He would know that number. I don't know the number, but whatever that number is, I don't know if it's 50 or 20 or 18. Like, I don't know what's the new players every year. How many new players get into the NFL every year? Because now that you have that number, whatever that number may be, and you're one of the big four, right? And I know at my small university, I want to say it was like 100. I want to say it was like 100 people. It might, I don't know if it was 100 people on the football team. I don't know. But that's a number that you would know if you're trying to get into the NFL. You would know how many people are on the team. So then you would know how many people are on the college team. Okay, you would know that number, and it would be divided amongst the positions. So if you're trying to be, let's say, a running back or wide receiver, like, you know your number. You know, okay, there are 8. Let's say there are 8 wide receivers on the team, and let's say I'm number 8. Well, look, I need to be in the top 4, because remember, like we said, that is the same throughout. That's like a consistent throughout business. Okay, the top 4. Yeah, you have your number 1, and everyone knows whatever that number 1 is. No matter what the field, no matter what the specialty, no matter what we're talking about in business, everyone knows what the number 1 is. Everyone knows what the number 2 is. Everyone knows what the number 3 and the number 4. But those numbers kind of fluctuate, and they all have their rivals. Okay, your number 1 is going to have a rival. And your number 2, they're going to have a rival. And number 3 is going to have a rival. And number 4 is going to have a rival. So everyone's going to have a rival, and it's going to kind of fluctuate and go up and down. And sometimes this is this, and sometimes it's that. And right, so you're going to have that. But if you're a number 8 or like, I don't know how many wide receivers they would have on a college team, but whatever that number is, if you can just get to the top 4, right now, if they only have 4, then that means you need to get into the top 2. But if you're in the top 4 schools and they only have 4 wide receivers, and you are the number 4 in the number 1 school, like, it's safe to say that all 4 of those wide receivers are going to go into the NFL. It's safe to say that if you're at the number 1 school and they only have 4 wide receivers, all 4 of them are going to get a chance to go into the NFL. All 4 of them, right? Now, if you're number 4, you're the number 4 school. We're talking about the nation, right? You're the number 4 school, and you're the 4th wide receiver. Look, I don't know, right? We would have to see. We would have to check the numbers, but the whole idea is that you're moving towards, you're in line. Like, you're in line. You're in line for the bathroom. You're waiting, right? You're building up your skill. You're doing everything that you possibly can. You're obsessed. Everything is in your favor. This isn't luck. Like, you're not lucky. You are in line, and you're doing everything to make it to the next checkpoint. Right? That's not luck. So that applies to all of our dreams. You have to get in line. So now, as we bring it back to music, we have superstar music, right? Now we have to get in line. Now, when we have to be acquiring the skills, whatever that may be. So you have to identify those skills. You have to identify the line, and you have to be in line, because if you're not in line, then of course you can't get picked. Of course you'll never get a chance to go to the bathroom if you're not in line to go to the bathroom. But if you're in line and you wait long enough, and you do all that is required, then eventually you will get your moment to use the bathroom, right? So that's like a blanket philosophy. But we also have to remember, while we're in line, we can't burn ourselves out, because that's what happens so many times, is that you're in line, right? That's why we spoke on the prostitute, and we said that, all right, if you're doing, if you're taking these cheap jobs, you won't be able to sustain yourself. Remember, that's why we brought up the number. You won't be able to sustain yourself to stay in line. And remember, there's a number. So, okay, if, how many teams, if we're just talking about the NFL, all right, how many teams are there? Right? How many teams are in the NFL? And then how many wide receivers are on a team? Because now we know our number. And now we can say, okay, boom, I'm in line and I'm waiting it out, right? So, all right, what's the average time of a person that's a wide receiver, right? What's the time? How long are they playing football? How long are they a wide receiver? And we have to get all of these numbers, because personally, when we speak personally, for me, like, I have to know this when it comes to music. I have to know it. Okay, how many producers, famous, or I can't say famous because I really don't care for fame. I don't want fame, right? I don't want fame. I just want money. But the more famous you are, the more money you make, right? Fame is a business. So the more famous you are, the more money you make. So I want my level, or my idea of success, is money based. So we say, okay, Mustard, right? We can say Mustard. We can say The Dream. We can say Teddy Riley. We can say Neptunes. We can say Swiss Beats. Like, all of these guys have had their moment. Kanye, Metro Boomin, like Zaytoven. Right? Like, we can say that, look, all of these guys have had their moment, right? In their moment, how many other producers were there? Because the number of prospects are infinite, right? The number of potential football players are infinite. Then the number, or the pool that they're being drawn from, is infinite, right? As long as people have leisure time, as long as people, right, like in a time of war, like Ukraine, they're not out scouting and having football games right now. This is a time of war. So as long as we have leisure time, then the potential for something is always infinite, until you start to add barriers. Once you add barriers, well, then that number drops. So that's what we had in the past. That's what makes this time so unique. This is the true age, the true Renaissance age, the true age of enlightenment. Everyone has enlightenment. Everyone has access to knowledge. Everyone has it. So back in the 90s, back in the 80s, right, back in the 70s, there was a smaller number, only a certain amount of people, and they made all of this stuff so expensive so that only a certain amount of people could have access to it. This way you can control it. Right? So if you was a producer back in the 80s and you was hanging around Teddy Riley, like, yo, it's safe to say that you probably would have sold a beat or two. Like, yo, you probably would have had your music on the radio. If you knew Teddy Riley and you was making music and he knew you and y'all knew of each other and y'all had general respect and mutual respect for each other, it's safe to say that you would have been in the arena of producers in New York. Right? Now, Babyface, I think Babyface was always on the other side of the country. So there, and I don't know Babyface's story, which I know he was a musician, but I'm gonna have to look it up, right? I'm gonna have to compare Babyface's story with Teddy Riley's story, because here you have like a trajectory of them like colliding, coming together, right? Not really, it's not really about battling. It's not really about, look, I'm better than you or you're better than me. It's just, look, I am who I am and you are who you are. And boom, eventually we're going to cross collide. We're going to actually, boom, I work with this artist, you work with that artist. You feel me? Like, yo, we working with the same artist. And that's really what we're talking about when we say successful producer. It's just working with big, huge artists who have music on the radio. You want your music on the radio, that way you can sell more music, and then in turn more people want to work with you because you're on the radio. They want to be on the radio. So it's just a self-sustaining model until you fall off, right? Until you're only as good as your last hit. Right? So that's really what we're facing. That's really what we're looking at. We put an hour in, and look, I have to study. So I'm studying my keyboard because I have to acquire more and more knowledge, because I know where I need to be, right? Like when I think of a certain producer, right? I know where I need to be far as the skills that I need to have. And, look, I've been in this game before, so that's the good thing about anything. Like you guys, you're not failing. As long as you don't give up, you're not failing. So it may be something you might have lost to something, but as long as you're not dead and you're not doing something no more, you just totally quit. Like, yo, you didn't. As long as you're not dead, you didn't fail. You're not a failure. Okay, like, yeah, you failed. I mean, you lost, right? But loss and failure, like that's different. Okay, so as long as you're not dead, like you're not a failure. You can still build on the experiences and the knowledge, and that's what I'm seeing now. Like when I was producing back, in the day for my album, the Artistry of Hip Hop album. Like I was studying mixing and EQing, but I really didn't I understood it, but I didn't understand it, right? I didn't understand it, but now it's crazy because I didn't. It's not like I was studying it even more, but now I just understand it better. My application of it is far more superior than it was when I was producing for myself. And once I stopped producing for myself, I just stopped. So I just got back into it, but I'm just building on that foundation. So it just makes everything else that I'm doing just that much better, greater and better. So it makes everything just that much greater. So I mean, it's just amazing. Like my sense of EQing. I mean, it amazes me. It amazes me because I've been like, that's what I wanted back then. But I don't know if it was the tools, right? Which I want to get my hands on one. I mean, I'm close to it, right? One of my friends has my old keyboard, so I'm gonna buy it from him. I told him I was gonna buy it. Just haven't been up to West Virginia since in a while, so that I can get it. But I need to do that. I need to go and I need to take care of that, so I can get that board, and that way I can see, all right, EQ from that board, and see how I can make and see my EQing skills, right? Really put it to the test. So we definitely have that, and like I said, we're gonna have artists. We're gonna have more and more artists and more people from Charlotte on the show. So I want to really just listen and find out their likes and their interests, so that they can be highlighted, right? And that they can gain whatever that they're searching and seeking for. Like that's what I want. That's my purpose. That's my drive. When I start having these guests, because like I said, it'll start soon. I would say within 2 months, we're going to, but it's not going to be a huge thing where I'm always going to be looking for guests. But when the opportunity presents itself, I'll take it. But I don't really care. Like I like just having myself, just me speaking to you guys and kind of giving some inspiration and thought. Just giving some food for thought. So that's that. We gave them an hour and some change. Reese's PCCCs.